They have 11 stakes from what I last heard. And when my mission president served there 35 something years ago, I think it was, there was one stake. And so there's grown 10. And they have, I remember going to state conferences where in 2020 and 2030, they have plans to have 1 to 2 more temples, with growing almost double in size in the church. So that was a pretty exciting thing that I really want to happen, because I was there. We had most of the southwest half of the island, and then the northeast half was the Taipei mission. And the temple was in Taipei, and then the next one is going to be in Kaohsiung, which is in the southern half. And there's a stake center just right next to it. And you know, the Lord provides the way for the grounds of His temple, because it's in a very ideal place, and it's right next to this huge stake center. So you can just feel like the sense of the work like happening there. And from what I've heard, the Taipei mission has a lot more city areas, and they have some really rural areas too, but a lot of them are in the big city of Taipei because it's huge and there's so many people, so I think they have lots of areas there. Whereas the Tachung mission, there's not as many big city areas, there's a lot more like small town places. Well, not small town, but only 10,000 people. But to them that's tiny. So that was kind of an interesting like cultural feeling, going from a city of like 250,000 to a city of 10,000. Just felt like an immense drop, and the way you'd contact people would change, to where you'd go tracting or something like that. Church history-wise, I think they got the first missionaries were there in the 50s, and something interesting they pointed out is that Taiwan started having better economic growth as soon as the church started there, and the more the church has developed there, the more Taiwan has developed. So I think that's been kind of like an interesting blessing from the Lord to the people there. The more they're accepting the word, the more their country is growing. So I thought that was really cool. So my first area was Jiayi, and I served there for 6 months. And then my second area was Tainan Dongqu, where I was there for, I think it was 4.5 months. And then my third area was Dali, which is up in Taichung. The other 2 areas were more in the south. And then I was only there for 6 weeks before I moved down to Gangshan, which I served there for 6 months as well, and that was in the south. And then Qishan was the neighbor to it, and I served there for about 3 months, and then I served in my last area, which was Daya, which was up in Taichung, for about 3 months. Jiayi was about 250,000, and so it was a pretty decently sized city. For them that was kind of moderate. And I really loved it because it had a small town but a big town feel to it. Because where we lived, buildings were only 14 stories tall, where when we went into the city it got up to like 30, 40, 50 stories. So you could kind of have that smaller feel but then go into a bigger one. There was lots of schools, lots of people everywhere to talk to. And then in Gangshan, it was a little bit smaller. I don't know what the population was. But I kind of liked that one because it felt a little bit bigger but still small. I kind of like that combination where if it was like straight in the big city, there's kind of just like an attitude difference. And there are certain missionaries that thrived in either one. I really liked the big small town feel.